I think if you put money on Zach Wheeler, I'm not going to talk you off of it. It almost feels like he's a blue chip stock. We know what we're getting here. He's probably going to have a very consistent and a good season. It's just, I don't really want to take the favorite on May 29th. Too many things can happen. He could certainly get injured. You've got to remember how many innings he's been throwing because the Phillies have been alive in the postseason for what, the past few years? So I think that's why I wouldn't take the favorite there. But I think in the National League, I'd go with Chris Sale. I'm not sure what his numbers are, but you need somebody who has good numbers when it comes to ERA and also somebody who can rack up the strikeouts because you need the sexy stat, whether it's strikeouts for pitchers or home runs for batters. And Chris Sale has both of those. Well, not home runs. You get what I'm saying. He has the good numbers when it comes to ERA, and he also has 78 strikeouts in just 63 innings of work. So I think that's who I'd go with. Chris Sale having a bit of a resurgence. He's 8-1 with the Braves this year with a 2.12 ERA. And we know he has the injury concerns, but he's also not the favorite here. So I think I would still go with Chris Sale. I know he didn't pitch yesterday, and that was kind of the question. So I apologize for that. But in the National League, I think my money would be on Chris Sale.
Everyone loves Tariq Skubal. I love Tariq Skubal. But, man, at plus 225, that's just a hard sell for me.
Especially in the American League where things feel very much wide open. If you look at the leaders when it comes to ERA, it's Seth Lugo, Tanner Huck, Reese Olson, John Gray, Tariq Skubal, Tyler Anderson. Like, it's not a who's who of, the biggest names in pitching, mostly because Garrett Cole is down for the year, or at least he has been down for the year. I think I would like to bet on Seth Lugo simply because he's kind of flying under the radar. He plays for a mid-market team in Kansas City. He's 8-1 this year with a 1.74 ERA, but I do think what's standing in his way is the strikeouts. Only 61 strikeouts and 72 innings of work. I feel like the voters want somebody who can really shut opposing offenses down. So that's where Tariq Skubal has the upper hand. 72 Ks and just 6 innings, 60 innings of work. I don't know, though. Feels like a wide open race. And if it's wide open, you shouldn't take somebody who's only plus 225.
I agree. Remember when Shay was on this show? Shay's a huge Tigers fan. And remember when Tariq Skubal first came out and he'd be like, man, this guy's going to be awesome. I love Tariq Skubal. I love Tariq Skubal. He would talk about him constantly. And here we are, like 3 years later. And Tariq Skubal is the Cy Young favorite in the American League. Remember that?
Yeah, I think having AJ Hinch as a manager has helped him a lot. AJ Hinch, a former big league catcher, and he has done a great job at developing young arms. We'll see if it will translate into wins for the Tigers. So far, not really. But yes, Tariq Skubal has always had wipeout stuff when it comes to his pitches. Did you hear the house rules in this house? We do not bet against the Orioles. So this is one of the things that I will stick to. Maybe I don't bet on them, but I'm not going to bet against them. So I think we're digging for ways to bet on the O's here. You had mentioned the Orioles on the first 5 run line. I think that's a pretty solid play. Backing Corbin Burns here, who's had a fantastic season. And also the Orioles offense, one of the best offenses in all of baseball in the first 5 innings of play. 7th most runs scored in the first 5 innings. It should be noted that Boston is not too far behind, and Cutter Crawford is having a great year. So maybe this is not the scenario in which you want to, lay a run in the first 5, because that can be tricky as well. Of course, if this game is tied, you lose your bet. But if there were a bet to be made, I do believe it's the O's on the first 5 run line.
When the Timberwolves have more offensive options, it keeps Dallas honest on defense. So there is a possibility where is Cat going to continue to play well? Is he going to go cold again? And if he does Dallas focus more of its attention on Anthony Edwards again? I don't know. But I think your theory, which you've sort of been talking about for the past few weeks in the NBA playoffs, which is if you're talking about a star player in an elimination spot, especially if that star player is playing on the team coming from behind, which needs to come from behind, usually betting on that player has been profitable.
Yeah, and we saw it last night. It felt like Anthony Edwards was way more aggressive. He shot the ball 25 times from the field, so I think that's another play worth running back. He had 29 last night. I am interested to see where they put his prop for Game 6 or Game 5.
The defensive adjustments that the Wolves made really disrupted Luka and Kyrie. Anthony Edwards guarded Luka last night. Jaden McDaniels was on Irving, and so McDaniels' size and length compared to Irving's. I mean, Kyrie really did not have a great game by his standards. 16 points, 6 of 18, 1 of 6 from 3. Like, that wasn't all that great. Obviously, the Mavs are a good team. They're going to make adjustments for those types of matchups and come back in Game 5 and obviously try and win that game. But I think Minnesota certainly is live. They finally had some things click. Like, they've been right there in every game. They've led with 5 minutes left in the first 3 games and just lost them in the last couple minutes because Karl-Anthony Towns had been terrible and Anthony Edwards had been so. So with Cat finally knocking down some big time shots yesterday, he just has to stay out of foul trouble. He picks up these stupid fouls early in the game, and then he finds himself on the bench late. So that's something that will need to change in Game 5 if the Wolves want to win this one. But I'm looking at the total here, 105.5, I believe it is.
205.
No, 109.5.
209.
209. Yeah, 109 would be crazy. 209.5. I would look at the under in that as the series gets deeper. I mean, we've talked about this prior to the start of the season or the series, is that the deeper we go, the lower scoring, the more the defense ramps up. And especially with those adjustments that Minnesota made on the defensive end, like that hampered Dallas's big 2. So Minnesota being back at home must win. Their defense is their bread and butter. That's what's gotten them this far. So I think, I have not played it yet, but I think I'm going to be taking the under 209.5.
All right, best bet of the day for me is going to be on the Kansas City Royals in the first 5 on the money line for plus 105. I think there are a lot of factors that go into this, and you're giving me it at plus money. Seth Lugo, who's starting for the Royals today, has the best ERA in the entire American League. He's 8-1 with a 1.74 ERA. If you look at the Royals, they have the best team batting average in all of baseball over the last month. And if you look at the Twins, they've had trouble getting going so far this season. In the first 5 innings of play, they're averaging the 8th fewest runs of any team in baseball. So you're giving me the Royals at plus money in the first 5? Yeah, let's do that behind Seth Lugo, who's basically their ace. Let's go Royals plus 105.
Oh, Chelsea, I am all over that. I'm going to tell you on it. I'm not going to play it officially, but I really do like that bet quite a bit. I am going Cubs first 5 money line. Minus 150 at the Brewers, and I am backing our guy, Shota Imanaga, 5-0 this season, an ERA of .84. He's facing Bryce Wilson of the Brewers, and I know at some point we'll see some regression from Shota. He can't continue this pace forever, but sometimes you can get in on a trend early and ride it out, and I've ridden this trend for 3 or 4 games now. It's been working, so let's keep at it. The Cubs have won 8 of the 9 games that Imanaga has started this season. He hasn't allowed an earned run in the last 12 innings that he's pitched, hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in any start this season. So, again, I am on the Shota train until he derails just a little bit. I don't think it happens today. Brewers have a much better bullpen. So let's go Cubs first 5 money line, minus 150.